Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Minecraft modding badge. Today we're going to go over blocks and items. So to get started we're going to have to go through and create a bunch of different blocks and some items. Those you can see on screen right now. So you can see I have created all of these blocks and a few items here. So go through using the methods that we went over in the last video and create some of your own. If you want them to look as close to vanilla as possible, there's a good way to use templates for that. So you can actually import custom templates. So if you go into the Minecraft textures, you can grab some and use them as basis for your textures that you're doing. So you can see I use that for my grass and the deep slate ore and the stone ore and most of my stuff. So I'm going to show you right now how to do that. So you're going to want to start by going up to where it says File and then click on Preferences. That'll open up your project settings, go to where it says texture templates, and then from here you can start adding your own textures by clicking on the add texture templates button. That'll take you to your system file viewer, and then you can select the ones you want. It'll add them into the game, into mCreator, but you have to restart it afterwards. It doesn't automatically load them in, so just make sure you restart and then they should appear afterwards. So yeah, you can just press close or save, I guess, and then get to creating your textures. So hopefully by now you've created your textures. To start, we're going to work on our grass block. So to get it created, we're going to go and press the same green plus that we did before in our food. So just go up there and you're going to find block. And block should be the fourth one down on the left side of the menu. Click on that. So now all we have to do is name our block. So again, like I said, we were going to be working on the grass block now. So for mine, I named it charred grass because my whole theme is like a burned forest kind of thing. So I went ahead and named it charred grass. So once you put your name in, you can press enter and we are greeted with this page. So this page looks a little bit familiar to our food page, slightly. On the left side there you can see we have little texture spots and we have 6 of them. This is because our cube has 6 sides, so we're going to have to go ahead and fill in each of those 6 spaces with a texture. So for our grass, we're going to have the top as the top of the grass. Those 4 in the middle are going to be the sides, and then that one on the bottom is going to actually be the bottom of the block. So it's just going to be normal dirt for mine. And we'll go through a couple of these pages, not really many of them. We'll probably hit like properties and then advanced properties, and really that's it. We don't really need to touch anything else here, so we'll just go through these few pages and we'll just start by filling in the textures. This page we don't have to change anything else on, but later on we will have to adjust a few things for some of the other blocks. So I'm going to speed through the rest of them, but I will slow down at points where I think you need information and some pointers to what to do. So you can see I'm filling in my textures here on my grass. So there's the top going in the top spot. And then I got the sides. So I'm going to fill them all in with the side of the block. There we go. And then I have to grab the bottom of the dirt. I actually forgot to load it in, so here I'm just quickly going to go in and import the bottom of the dirt. And you should see any second here, it just magically pops in. So now that it's there, we can go ahead and select that texture. So click on it there, and then just press select, and I've filled in the 6 sides of my cube. So now I'm going to move on to the next tab here. So like I mentioned earlier, the next tab we're going to move on to is the Properties tab. So we're going to have to change quite a few things here, but starting with the top, we have the in-game name. So that's at charred grass, as it should be. Next we have material, and we're going to set that to grass. So you can see I'm going to click it there. Our creative tab is already set to what we want it to be. And then the next 2 are hardness and resistance. So these values can actually be found pretty easily by going on to the Minecraft wiki, which I will show right here. So you can see right underneath the block here, they actually show those values. So there's blast resistance and hardness. Blast resistance is the same as resistance in mCreator, so don't worry about the extra blast. And then you can just move those values in there, or you can change them to higher or lower, depending on what you feel's right. So you can see I do 0.6 and 0.6, and that's good enough for me. I'll end up skipping the rest of these because slipperiness, jump speed, jump factor, or speed factor, sorry, luminance, light opacity, gravity, all those other ones are not really useful to us. On the right side, you'll actually see me do something that is incorrect. So I just want to point that out, that when I do tool to be able to destroy it, I'm actually not supposed to fill it in with shovel. You're supposed to leave it as not specified. In the older version of mCreator, it didn't really matter because if you did the tool harvest level at 0, it was the same as breaking it with your hands. In this version, they changed it. So leave it as not specified if you want to be able to break it with your hands. If you need a tool to break it, change it to that tool. Tool harvest level to break with drop. If you press on that little question mark, it'll actually show you the values of the tools. So wood is 0, stone is 1, iron is 2, gold, diamond is 3, and then netherite is 4. So it depends on what you want to make your block breakable with. For my dirt, I would only want it to be breakable with my hands at the lowest. Custom drop at the top, I fill out with dirt because I want it to be when I break my grass, I get dirt rather than the actual grass. And then I just change the vanilla sound set here to grass, or sorry, plant. Change it to plant. That way it'll sound like normal grass. Okay, so next we're going to move on to advanced properties. So click on that down there. And we're only going to change one thing here. And that is the can plants staying on this block check to enable button. So I'm just going to click that, and we won't go over this stuff right now. Some of the other blocks will require them, so we'll go over the useful ones at that point. But again, for now, we're not going to have to worry about any of that, so we'll just do check to enable, and then we can move on to generation. So here we're just going to do this temporarily. We're actually not going to have it generate in the overworld like this. It's going to be done a little bit differently. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to have it just spawn in the overworld, replace some grass, just so we can see it in the open world. So I'm going to first go to dimension to generate in, and I'm going to click on surface. So you can see I pressed on that green plus to get there. And I'm going to go to the next one where it says blocks this block can replace. And I have to get rid of the stone that's there. So I can either click on it and it should like appear with a white background, and I can press that X, or I could press that X all right beside it, and that'll get rid of everything there. Next I'm going to press the green plus, find grass, and put it in there. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the maximal generation height, because it only goes up to 64 right now, which is still pretty low with the new build limit. So I'm going to raise it a little bit higher, because I think 63 is ocean level. So now with the new world limit and generation, it'll be harder to find with all the hills and stuff. So I'm going to end up setting it at 128, just so we can find it a little bit easier. And then once we've done that, we can press save mod element, and we are done with our grass. So now you've seen me create one block. I'm just going to speed through the rest of them, and I'm going to stop at points where useful information can be shared. So again, I'll just speed through these. I'll put the name of the block I'm working on the screen, and then I'll stop at points where I need to give you some information. So as you work on those blocks, just watch those sections so you can get information about what to do with them. Alright, so we're going to have to change one thing on this page, and that is block rotation mode. So you can see up there, we're just going to click on where it says no rotation and change it to log rotation. And I'll just give it like the vanilla log rotation, where depending on where you're looking and what you place it on, to place it on the side of a block or on top of a block, it'll rotate the log to be facing the proper direction. So aside from that, we can keep on moving on. So for this one, I'm just going to change the block flammability. So I'm just going to set it to its default value, same as a normal log, which is just 5. If you press on that little question mark, it'll show you the flammability value of a log. For the planks, we'll do later, you're going to do the exact same thing. So just follow along with that, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. You can see here, I'm just going to mess with the way that the textures work. For these ones that all the sides of the block are the same, I'm just going to go over there and pick single texture. That way I only have to click on that one that says bottom/main, and that'll fill out all the sides with that same texture, so I don't have to worry about doing it manually by hand. So just make life a little bit easier. So again, just like with our log, we're going to change that block flammability. This time we're going to change it to 20 instead of 5. The default value for a plank is 20. The default for a log is 5. So we're not going to mess with it too much. We're just going to leave them at their default values. Alright, so here I'm making the stripped log. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the original one. I'm going to go over to this button over here, and I'm going to duplicate it. So this is what this button does. It duplicates it. Now I can give it the name stripped log, or stripped charred log as I do it. And then once that has been created, you can see there's a duplicate of it, but it has the different name. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go in. I'm just going to change the textures over so that they match the stripped log rather than the normal one. And then I'm going to change one more thing. So go to properties, and I'm going to change the name to stripped charred log. And that's all I really have to do here. You can mess with some more of the settings to make it a little bit different, but that's pretty much all you have to do. Alright, so just like we did with the stripped wood, we're actually going to duplicate the normal log again. This time we're going to make it that 4-sided log, one where you combine like 4 of them together and you get that all sides are bark. So we're going to do that again. It's just called wood. Weird, I know. So we're just going to name this one charred wood using that same duplicate button. So just click on that while selected on the normal one, and then all we're going to do is just change those ends to be the same. You could do the single texture strategy on this one again. Up to you how you want to do it, but it really doesn't matter. And then again, change the name. This time changing it to charred wood. And you really don't have to change much here. You can see I pull up the blast resistance and hardness of it, so you can change those. They'll just be 2, but I think that's actually the same as a normal log, so it doesn't really matter. You can just carry on. So before moving on to create our ore blocks, we're going to have to create the item that they drop. So you can see here I just added a new item. This one is going to be my raw titanium. So just like with raw iron and raw copper, it's going to be dropped by the ore blocks, and you're going to have to smelt them into ingots. I just want you to do this first because while you can do it while making your ores, it's kind of annoying. It's actually what I ended up doing here, and it just kind of becomes sloppy and messy. So rather than having you go through that annoyingness, we're just going to do it beforehand. Okay, so rather than stopping midway through to voice over what's happening, I'm just going to explain it at the beginning. Basically what I'm doing now is I'm going to create my ores. So of course, in the new update, we have, the deep slate and the normal stone ores, so I have to make both of them. So the first one I'm going to make, you can see here, is just the normal one. So I'm just going to go through normally, you know, do whatever I have to get it working. The single texture, I'm going to select the normal stone one. And then I'm going to go through eventually and I'm going to do the deep slate one. As you can see, I don't really know which one's which because I have 2 textures for deep slate and 1 for the stone, so I was getting a little confused. But basically, the normal one's going to be a single texture. The other one's going to be a little bit different because deep slate is different on the top. So just go through. Here I'm finding the hardness of them. So I'm just going to copy diamond ore. It's whatever. So the deep slate and the normal variant are going to be on there. So you can copy those. You can change them. But usually the deep slate's going to be a little bit harder than a normal one. So go through, make both of those. So you can see right here, all I'm going to do is where it says custom drop, I'm just going to select that raw titanium that I made, put that in there. If you want it to drop more, you can change the drop amount, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. And that's pretty much all you have to do there. As you can see here, this one you actually do want to break only with a pickaxe, and we're going to make it probably level 4, so it can only break with diamond. So just keep that in mind. I know I kind of said it wrong earlier in the video. I'll just clarify now. If you want it to drop by hand, then do not specified. If you want it to break with an item, then you pick the tool. The new update that just dropped that this one is not on actually lets you specify that with a checkbox, so it makes it a little bit easier. Just keep that in mind, not specified if you want it to break with your hand and get a drop. Okay, so probably the most important thing we're going to do, and it's not really important for what we're doing in this video, but when we're working on our biome stuff, especially with trees, we're going to need to make sure that we have these in place. So I'm going to add tags, and you can see up at the top, the very last button on the toolbar is that little, it looks like a tag, that's what it is. So we click on that, it will open up a little menu. You'll see here in a second that it'll open it up. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through, we're going to select 3 tags. We're going to want the log tag, we're going to want the leaves tag, and by default it has the dirt tag. So you can see it already has those 2 selected. We're going to add that 3rd one that is leaves. Basically what ends up happening is when we add in our trees, if we don't have these tags in place, the leaves will just like immediately decay, and it's kind of annoying. So we need to make sure that we add them. And once we have them added in, we're going to click on the log one. So you can see at the bottom, there's the elements inside this tag. We're going to click the plus, and we're going to add in our custom log that we made. We don't have to worry about the stripped one or like the wood, just the normal one. And for the leaves, we're going to add in our leaves. Now these will add them to the tag so that they kind of know not, like if they spawn together, don't despawn the leaves. Super important. We need to make sure that we have those tags. If you don't, you'll notice later on, once we get our biomes going, nothing will work. Well, it will work, but our leaves will decay, and that's not at all what you want. So we made our raw titanium, but we don't have anything that it'll smelt into. So we need to add in our titanium ingots. So that's what I'm going to do now. And again, we're not going to get into like the recipes today. We'll do that in the next video. But basically, we just want to get these items in place so that A, we can use them and see them in the game, and B, so that we don't have to worry about doing them when we go to add in tools and whatever else. So just get this done, and then we're pretty much done with everything that we're doing. Alright, so now we're finished. All we're going to do now is run our game, test out our new items and blocks. So press that green play button in the top right corner. That'll boot up your game. So you'll see in just a second here, and Minecraft is open. So let's just create a new single player world. We can either use the original one or we can create a new one, which I'm just going to make like a new creative one here so I can test out all the stuff. I think I'm going to give it a little fun name here. I want to see my my grass. There we go. So if you remember, we set our grass so that it would spawn naturally in the world. That's the reason. The quality looks a little bit weird. I'm going to have to mess with the settings a little bit. I don't know why it's doing this. So next video should look better, but I'm just going to fly around and look for my grass, and I'll cut back when I find it. So it took me a while, but here we are. My charred grass has been located in the wild. So I just pick it up, I can place it down. I do go into survival here, but as you remember, I didn't set it properly, so I'm like, oh, why didn't it drop anything? Because I messed up and I did it wrong. A little confused, but that's okay. So instead, I'm just going to mess around with some of the other blocks I added in, like my titanium ore, see how everything looks. You can do the same, just kind of mess around and check out everything that you made. That's going to end this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.